I'll make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. Under department reports, 7G or 70G1, I'd like to add appointment of internal community development director.
One second.
Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none to the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Presentations, the recognition of Arden Anderson, Deputy Fire Chief of City of East Bethel.
Thank you, Steve. Deputy Chief Artie Anderson has submitted his resignation from the East Bethel Fire Department effective December 16th, 2022. Artie started with the East Bethel Fire Department on March 25th, 1982. He was chief of the department from 1992 to 2008 and has been deputy chief since 2008. The fire department has seen many changes during Artie's tenure. The fire department has gone from responding from a single station on Viking Boulevard to responding from 3 stations today. He was involved in the design and building of all the 3 stations. The department has gone from responding to around 200 calls for service per year to over 900 calls for service this year. Artie has been instrumental in the developing of the specifications and purchasing recommendations of all the trucks that are part of our fire vehicle fleet, and has worked diligently to update the equipment now in use in the department. His service, knowledge, and dedication to the department have been outstanding, and Artie will be greatly missed by all those in the city. At this time, City Council is requested to approve Resolution 2022-84, resolution recognizing and expressing appreciation for the service to the city by Artie Anderson.
Is there a motion to this resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-84, recognizing and expressing appreciation for service to the city of East Bethel by Arden Anderson.
I'll second.
Motion made and second. Discussion.
Artie, 40 years, almost 41 years of service. I want to thank you for taking me under your wing. You've taught me a lot while you've been at the fire station here. I learned a lot more on the fire department than I ever have known. You're a tremendous asset. You're going to be missed, and I just want to wish you and Deb the best in your retirement. Thank you for everything.
I too want to wish you lots of luck and happy, healthy future.
Mr. Anderson. I'm going to read this. I have my glasses on. A resolution recognizing and expressing appreciation for service to the city of Artie Anderson. Whereas Arden Anderson has been a firefighter for the city since March 25th, 1982, and served as a member of the fire department for over 40 years. Whereas during that time, he served a number of leadership roles, including assistant fire chief, and a deputy city fire chief. Whereas Artie Anderson has distinguished himself as a firefighter by his exemplary performance, dedication to duty, and selfless service to his community. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of East Bethel that City Council hereby recognizes the contributions of Artie Anderson and express our thanks and appreciation to Artie for his service to the City of East Bethel and its residents. Artie, thank you very much. Thank you. Before we proceed, council, any further discussion? All in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That resolution passes.
So, most of the people in the room probably know that Artie is a man of few words. So I'm not going to say too many words, but I will say that in 2010, I was kind of forced to give Artie a Lifetime Achievement Award. And Artie wasn't super happy about it. Do you remember that, Artie? So anyway, since 2010, Artie has responded to 3,100 calls in our city, including 555 this year. So also in that time, we've seen dozens of members go through the academy and become trained as members of our department. And almost every single truck has been redone, and Artie has been a father figure to all. And I would like to, on behalf of the firefighters of the city of East Bethel and the Relief Association, present this axe to you as a commemorative remembrance of your time with us. So thank you for everything you've done for us and our community.
Like you say, I ain't a man of many words. So. I want to thank council for all their leadership roles through all the years too. I've seen many councils come and go. It's always a challenge working with new ones, and they come and go too. So it's all a working process. We all get along eventually. So hopefully it continues. As far as firefighters, I've seen many come and go, and you learn a lot of traits from all these young people. They come and go, and they tend to stick with you. And I hope the ones we have now, they just keep their ears open, listen, learn, and move forward. There's a lot of opportunity here. The biggest thing I've got to say is I wouldn't be here through this many years without the support of my wife and family. They backed me over many years and stuck with me. So with that, thank you.
Would it be possible to get your family to stand and let us give them a round of applause, because they did make a lot of sacrifices for this too, for your services too. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all.
Bad exit, no.
Just gotta pause a moment here.
Yeah.
Will do.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Okay, next is our 2022 EDA report by Judy Lux.
And I'm not taking it personally, but everybody's.
They might come back now.
I know, it's really intriguing. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Julie Lux. I'm the president of the East Bethel EDA. I'm here to provide a summary of the 2022 progress of the Economic Development Authority. So as a reminder, or perhaps new information for those watching online or in the audience, so the role of the East Bethel Economic Authority, we serve as an advisory to the City Council. So we review and make recommendations to the Council regarding marketing, promotion initiatives for our city. We also promote business retention activities and economic development projects with both new and existing facilities and businesses.
Could you put the mic down a little bit?
And I move a lot, sorry.
Thank
Is that
you.
better? Let's see. So one of the most important things I think that we took part in, and the whole city commissioned a broadband gap analysis report to identify unserved and underserved areas in East Bethel. And the results of that report identified several areas that were underserved and non-served, actually. So this report assists the city in efforts to partner with internet service providers to improve access for businesses and residents, apply for grant funds to provide aid to construction, and to address our system redundancy. So in addition, the County of Anoka completed a broadband internet analysis with Design 9 as the consulting firm. So they'll be incorporating some of the data obtained from our report, and we'll be using it as a template. So we were reimbursed by Anoka County for the cost of our study. And as a result of these studies, the county has applied for a $4.4 million grant from DEED to serve those areas identified in the study. with fixed wireless service. So we're awaiting the decision of the grant funds to the county to determine what the course of action will be to serve those that are underserved and unserved in their communities. So in terms of development, so EDA has been involved at various stages and has assisted and facilitated in the following types of projects during the 2022 calendar year. So as far as single family, so the city's issued 19 single family home permits through November 30, 2022. So as a comparison, 48 single family home building permits were issued in that same time in 2021. So of course that decline is due to rising material costs and increase in interest rates for home mortgages. So some of the projects that are approved for coming up in 2023, the final plat for the Prairie Hills subdivision, which is a 16-lot rural development located on 213th and Tippecanoe Street. So that was approved in June of 2022, and grading and street construction are in place right now. The final plat for 43 single-family lots in the Whispering Aspen 3rd Edition was approved in August of 2022. So this site has been cleared and grading is underway, and home construction will start in 2023. Lastly, the concept plan for Hidden Pines, which is a 10-lot rural development on East Bethel Boulevard and 198th, was reviewed at the November 28th City Council meeting, and the public hearing for that preliminary plat is scheduled for December 27th, 2022, then in the Planning Commission meeting. So upon approval of that final plat, site development will commence in spring of 2023. So shifting to multifamily, the East Bethel Village Apartments Phase 2 was completed last year. Just for an update, the total units for both of those phases is 139. And if you recall, there are affordable units within that as it was laid out by the development agreement. So Phase 1 has a 95% occupancy rate, and Phase 2 is at 90%, which is a very well-balanced vacancy rate in this market. New multifamily. So the preliminary plat for the Elevage 2nd Edition was approved at the November 28th, 2022 council meeting. So this project will have 100 market rate rental townhomes, walking trails, a clubhouse with a pool, and green space. So that's the first phase of the agreement. And then next phases will add an additional 96 residential rental units and a 5-acre commercial site. So this final plat is scheduled to be considered for approval tonight. So a reminder on that project, no TIF has been requested from the city for the project. The developer is not requesting any assistance or incentives and will pay for all improvements internal to the project. So at its when everything's complete, we'll have 196 market rate rental townhomes, 5-acre commercial site. We'll increase annual city property tax revenues from $2,700 per year on this site to $223,000 per year at the current valuation rates. And we will pay out $1,098,000 to the city water and sewer fund through the SAC and WAC fees. And really more residential growth in our corridor, which is really a requirement to rooftops for commercial and grocery stores, which is what that's what we're hearing that residents are looking for. So shifting to commercial, we had a really active year with the commercial construction projects. Number one, Aggressive Hydraulics completed an expansion that added 36,000 square feet to their building. And this increases their building size from 60,000 to 96,000, and it created 20 new jobs. So the city and the EDA participated in the TIF eligible financing for this project. Panagold Bakery and Country Hearth opened up at 187th Lane and Ulysses Street in March. So this is a 22,000 square foot building, and they're a regional distributor of bread products, and they've added 20 new jobs to our local economy. The Quick Trip is scheduled to begin construction of the East Bethel store, which will be within the Elevage master plan along Sand Hill Parkway. And that will probably break ground, I think it's slated the second quarter of 2023. Washi Commercial Finishes is the headquarters of a commercial painting company. So they're on Aberdeen Street. They design and develop tools for the painting industry. So they have 40 employees and have outgrown their current facility. They purchased the land just east of them to construct a 7,200 square foot addition to their facility. So this required a conditional use permit, which City Council approved in September of 2022. And construction of that addition will start in spring of 2023. Next one, the Speedway store at 187th Lane and Highway 65, right by the theater, will be demolished, and a new Holiday Station store will be constructed at this site. So it'll be the exact same footprint of the Holiday store that's down on Crosstown and Highway 65. So it'll be a nice big improvement. Demo and new construction will start the first quarter of 2023. All right, the final plat for 5 commercial lots for the Stone Group Commercial Second Edition, which is right adjacent to the Dollar Tree store at 209th. So that was approved by council on September 2022. So they're currently marketing those lots through auction, which we'll see how that goes.
Is that normal?
It's not. That's why I was
didn't think
asking
so.
Jack. I thought that's not normal.
No.
So I don't know if they just want to,
Blow them out?
yeah, that's a good question. So Cambia Hills update. So Certus, who's the court-appointed receiver for this complex, informed the city that the facility continues to generate interest in their attempts to sell or lease the building. They're focusing their efforts on reopening the facility as a psychiatric residential treatment facility. And that's consistent with the conditions of the CUP approved for the use of this site. Anoka County will honor the tax exempt appeal on the property, so that's one last obstacle for them.
What does that mean?
So they had tax, what am I trying to say? They had
They
a
were
nonprofit
tax
tax
exempt?
status. Yeah, tax exempt.
They were tax exempt.
Mhm.
And
So oftentimes when you get a change of user,
You
um,
lose that.
yeah. So the city said, we'll honor that until, obviously if the new group that comes in is not a nonprofit, but it's highly
Right.
likely they will be.
Okay, thank you.
And just word in the industry, I have a commercial real estate background, and I was talking to a couple of brokers within the medical industry, and apparently there's been a high level of interest in this site, but they've just needed to work through the process. So I'm really hopeful we can get something going
That was a
in there.
big stumbling block, that
Yeah.
tax. It was huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll hope for good thoughts on that. So that is it for me. Thanks for your time, and I look forward to continuing, myself and the EDA look forward to continuing to assist the city and growth and new opportunities.
Well, that's
Thank
good,
you.
because we just reappointed you to a 6-year
I
term.
know,
so
I know.
You're gonna be here
I
a
didn't
while.
realize it was that long.
Any questions for Julie tonight?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Are most medical facilities nonprofit or tax exempt, or
A lot of them are.
are they? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Alina system is a nonprofit.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They make a lot of money.
They do, they do.
Interesting, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Anything
Any
else?
questions?
All right, thanks for serving.
Absolutely, glad to do it. It's a passion of mine, and I really look forward to seeing smart development growth for the city.
Great, thank
Thanks
you,
all.
Julie. Okay, item 3, our 2023 budget presentation.
Thank you, Steve. Minnesota Statute 275.065 requires cities to conduct a public comment period where stakeholders are offered the opportunity to provide input to the city council on proposed budgets and tax levies. The state requires that each city announce the date, time, and place of the meeting where residents can provide city council feedback on these items. The date selected must be done at the meeting when the city council adopts the preliminary budget and levy in September of each year. The meeting date is also listed on the parcel-specific notices for proposed 2023 taxes that taxpayers received in November from Anoka County. City Council directed that December the 12th, 2022 is a regular meeting for this opportunity. Staff recommends that City Council open the floor for public comment on the 2023 budget and tax levies, and then consider the adoption of the general fund budget and levy, the EDA levy, and the HRA levy with motions as presented at the conclusion of this discussion. Mike?
Thank you, Jack. Mr. Mayor, members of council, I do have a brief presentation for you, and then we can open it up to the audience for input and questions. Again, the City of East Bethel has a year-long budget process that commences on January 2nd of each year when the budget model is created. The budget model chronicles the prior 2 years' activity, the current year's budget, and the next year's budget that is being considered for approval. Embedded in the model are updates to salary, benefit line items, and debt service requirements for 2023 budget. From there, the city has a series of meetings where the budget is discussed and modified. Again, the objective of tonight's meeting is to provide an overview of the 2023 budget and allow public input following the review. Like we've done in years past, before we get into the actual budget, I wanted to go over some financial highlights of the city. Looking at the city's most current year completed, we note that revenues came in at 104% of budget and expenditures came in at 104% of budget. Again, this illustrates that our budget process and modeling does a good job in capturing actual activity that occurs. The city has a formal fund balance policy that states that the city should maintain a minimum of 40% of next year's budgeted general fund expenditures as its fund balance. The city had a fund balance of roughly $3.4 million at the end of 2021, or 54% of the 2022 budget. Given this strong fund balance, the city was able to use $145,000 of that in order to minimize the levy increase for 2023. The city has also approved the union contract through 2025. And finally, the city has the 8th lowest tax rate in Anoka County out of 21 cities. Again, based on the inputs from the Finance Committee, Personnel Committee, department heads, and the City Council, the budget model and budget book was prepared for the City Council to review at tonight's meeting. Looking at the general fund budget from the macro viewpoint, we note that the 2023 revenues and expenditures are budgeted to increase by 3%, or $168,400, from $6,280,900 in 2022 to $6,449,300 in 2023. The components that make up that $6.4 million in general fund revenue are cable franchise fees, liquor and tobacco licenses, building inspection permit revenue, state aids for streets and fire, fines and forfeits, intergovernmental charges, cemetery revenue, tower site lease revenue, gambling contribution revenue, interest earnings, and of course, property taxes. Again, the main objective of this slide is to emphasize that the city receives roughly 81% of their general fund revenue from property taxes and is by far the city's most important revenue source. As we look at the expenditure side of our budget, there are two primary ways one can look at the city expenditure budget. One way is to look at it by object or what is actually being purchased. Personnel costs for salaries and benefits, contracted services, supplies, etc. The city's personnel costs account for roughly 43% of the general fund budget. The city budgeted for 22 full-time employees in 2023, 6 in administration, 5 in community development, 9 in public works, and 2 in the fire department. Of those employees, 9 are represented by a union. For 2023, the union contract called for a 3% cost of living increase to salaries, and the cafeteria contribution for benefits to increase from $1,400 per month to $1,425 per month. For 2023, the mayor, council, and committee stipends are budgeted to remain unchanged. And then the city also budgets for 35 paid-on-call firefighters, 1 part-time cable technician, and 2 seasonal public works employees. Overall, salaries and benefits reflect an increase of roughly $88,000 over 2022. A summary of the city's contracted service budgets for 2023 show that the law enforcement contract is budgeted to increase by $47,000 or 4%. The city attorney contract is budgeted to increase by $5,000 or 3%, and the internal transfer to the park capital fund is budgeted to increase by $5,000 or 5%. The alternate way one can look at the city expenditure budget is by department. The general government classification captures all expenses involved with city governance: city council, city administration, finance, assessing, legal, and elections. This classification is budgeted to decrease by 2% from $1,322,600 in 2022 to $1,301,000 in 2023. The primary driver of this decrease is the elimination of the vacation sick time sellback. The community development classification captures all expenses involved with planning and zoning and building inspections. This classification is budgeted to increase by 6% from $636,300 in 2022 to $672,400 in 2023. The primary driver of this increase is an allotment for code enforcement assistance and scanning services. The public safety classification captures all expenses involved with police and fire protection. Again, this classification is budgeted to increase by 5% from $2,112,800 in 2022 to $2,213,500 in 2023. Engineering expenses are budgeted to remain unchanged and remain at the $40,000 mark in 2023. The Public Works classification captures all expenses involved with street maintenance and park maintenance. The Public Works classification is budgeted to increase by 3% from $1,519,200 in 2022 to $1,565,900 in 2023. Transfers to other funds include transfers to street capital, building, and park capital, and is budgeted to increase by 1% from $645,000 in 2022 to $650,000 in 2023. Shifting gears and onto our debt service funds, the city will have 2 outstanding bond issues at the end of 2022 with principal balances of roughly $15.6 million in total. Each year, the city pays interest and principal on these bonds. These annual principal and interest payments follow an amortization schedule that was determined when the initial bond sale occurred. The city also pays fiscal agent fees for each of these issues, which is reflected in the budget. The budget reflects a decrease from 2022 to 2023 from $904,000 to $875,000 in 2023. So overall, in order to fund our general fund expenditures, the general fund levy is proposed to increase by 1% from $5,104,200 in 2022 to $5,144,600 in 2023. The debt service levy then is also proposed to increase by 2% from $928,000 in 2022 to $945,500 in 2023. You add those 2 levies up, and that gives us our change in the city components of the levy at a 1% change from $6,032,200 in 2022 to $6,090,100 in 2023. Finally, the other levying authorities within the city are its Economic Development Authority and the Housing Redevelopment Authority. Again, as we just had a presentation on, the goals of the EDA are to encourage redevelopment activities, achieve commercial development, and encourage development of housing within the city. The EDA levy is budgeted to remain unchanged at $136,200 in 2023. The East Bethel Housing and Redevelopment Authority's purpose is to provide a sufficient supply of adequate, safe, and sanitary dwellings and address substandard slum or blighted areas existing within the city. The HR levy is budgeted to remain unchanged in 2023 and remain at the $77,000 mark. So again, adding all those levies together, there is a 0.9% change, and that was what was actually reflected on that supplemental insert in each taxpayer's tax statement. Again, all stakeholders should have received their 2023 proposed tax statement in the mail from Anoka County. A couple of reminders that your overall tax decrease is controlled by a number of factors, including your taxable market value increase in relation to the entire city, the city levy, the county levy, and the school district levy. With that, the city council will welcome any input on the budget. Please come up and state your name and address for the record.
With that, we'll open our public hearing for our city budget and levy for the year 2023. Is there anyone here interested tonight to speak to council, ask questions? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. And we have 3 resolutions before us.
That's correct.
Can I ask a quick question first?
Sure.
Why is the debt service going up? Why isn't it going down? I'm a little confused on that one.
Are you speaking to the levy or the?
That one right there.
Yep, so essentially every year we do a cash flow analysis to kind of determine what the levy needs to be at in order to cash flow it for the remainder of the term of the bond. So as we've kind of incorporated a 3% increase in the 2014 A bonds, that'll cash flow throughout the year, even though there's a little bit of a difference in the payments each year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so our first resolution is 2022-77.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2022-77, the general fund budget and levy resolution.
Second.
Motion made second. Discussion.
I just want to make a comment of, I realize that you did a really good job and that everybody did a good job keeping it down to 0.9, but I still think that it should be 0 because of, I think if we hadn't created that accounting coordinator position and bought that boat, I don't think we would have needed a levy at all. That being said, I think this is a good job, but what is not in here and I think should be in future budgets is the plan to accommodate future negotiations with the unions so that we don't have to have such a big levy or any levy in the future, because if we're at 104%, maybe 4 or 6% of that can go into a little savings thing for future negotiations so that, yeah, we have money to give these people a raise, or no, we can't afford to give you a raise this year, that kind of thing. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes. Our next resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-78, approving the final Economic Development Authority property tax levy and budget for 2023.
Second.
Motion made second. Discussion. Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. One more.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2022-79, approving the final Housing and Redevelopment Authority property tax levy and budget for 2023.
Second.
Motion made second. Discussion. Hearing none. To that motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. And we have a budget for next year.
Mike, thank you very much for all the work you did.
Thank you.
Yep, I know
Absolutely.
a lot of work goes into it on your end, so
You
thank
should
you
all
for doing
thank
it.
Mike, by the way, that we're not here for another hour because he answered my questions. I had.
Well, that's what
Thank
he's-
you, Mike.
That's what
Thank
he's
you.
here for. And he's not very good at introducing himself. This is Mike Jaworski, our finance director. So
Very good. Yep.
Very
he's the
good.
one, the magic with the numbers, so. All right, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
On to our consent agenda. Is there a
I'll make
motion?
a motion to approve the consent agenda, and I'd like to pull items E and D, I think, D and E.
Can you say that one more time?
D as in Delta and E as in Echo.
Okay,
Second.
motion made second.
I'd
Any
like
discussion?
to pull items A
Okay,
and C.
okay. We have B, F, and G left. Any further discussion? Hearing none, to the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Kevin, item A.
I just wonder if I could get a explanation for a bill for $116,818.47 to Nuss Truck and Equipment.
That was a truck that was approved for purchase by city council over a year ago. We just received that truck 30 days ago. It's the cab and the chassis, so it's sent in to be now tricked out with the bed and the plows. But that truck was actually approved over a year ago, and we just received it back in October.
All right, thank you. On TIF 1-4 to Bank Vista, 42773.
Approve item A first.
Make a
Oh, I'm
motion.
still on the,
Still on the bills.
on the bills.
Oh,
be
I
paid.
thought you moved to C.
No.
My apologies.
No problem. TIF 1-4 for $42,773. Can I get a,
That is the TIF payment for the Cedar Creek Senior Living Project. The way that works is, in the TIF agreement, the county collects.
tax increment
The tax
financing,
increment,
yeah.
they pay us the tax increment, and then we pay that to the bank. So it doesn't really go through Cedar Creek Senior Living. This is just to ensure that the payment's made.
Who pays us, the state or the
The
county?
county.
County?
And then the county collects the tax increment, that's where they get the money, they pay us, and then we pay the bank.
Jack, we make just a little bit off that, don't we, when we do that?
10%.
10%, okay.
And that same question for TIF 1-5, which is to Taft, what is it, Stettinius and Hollister? What is that?
That is the annual report that we have to file each year, and this is the agency that we use to make sure that everything's correct, so they keep up with all 5 of our TIF projects and file the reports to the.
And which is TIF 1-5? What
TIF
project is
TIF
that?
1-5 is aggressive hydraulics.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, then I'd move to okay, item A, whatever I'm supposed to do.
Motion made second. Discussion? Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item C.
Okay, item C, just help me out here, Jack.
Okay.
I thought the payment for vacation not used or whatever was going away. Am I confused or?
It is, but that becomes effective January the 1st, so
So this is
it's
just
in
in
effect this
arrears.
year, but next year it goes away.
So it's in arrears, basically? Yeah, okay. Well, then I'd move that we approve item C.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion? Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Item D.
I'm just abstaining because I won't be here anymore.
I'll make a motion to approve item D.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made
Can
second.
I ask a question about this?
Discussion, yes.
I'm trying to find this on here. Why am I not finding it?
It is page 128.
This is about the dates, right?
Yeah, 128 of the packet.
128. Oh, okay. Thank you. Bear with me a moment.
Almost there.
Okay. All right, so, first of all, there's a resolution for this, and at the top it says, resolution number 2021-80. Is that a 2021
That's a
number?
mistake. It should be 2020.
23.
No,
It's-
the
it's res-
resolution should be 2022.
22.
It's, this is, I have 2022-80.
The resolution in our packet
Okay.
is labeled
Okay.
2021-80.
All right, that should be 2022-80.
Yep.
It's
So
a
we
minor.
make the resolution cite 2022.
Okay. But my real question gets at, so we have a city council work meeting on January 3rd, it says. If that's a Monday, I think it should be January 2nd.
It's, the reason we don't have it on the 2nd, Kevin, is that's a holiday.
You
and-
had Sunday to party, get out of here. What the heck?
And that's actually by state statute, that you can't have any city council meetings on a state holiday.
Okay, so it's actually gonna be on a Tuesday.
Yeah, it'd
Then
be
I
on-
have a related question. Is that the night So we're gonna swear in the new council members?
No, it isn't. In all probability, we will cancel that work meeting, and
Are you
start,
still gonna be partying, what?
yeah, start anew with the new council with a fresh work meeting,
I
because
might
we'd
be.
have to go over
You
the same
might be.
thing
I'll be
again.
at the meetings.
So you're planning on January 9th?
Actually, the next work meeting would be the first Monday in February.
Well, no, I mean for swearing in the new
Yeah,
council
that's correct.
members.
That would be at the first city council meeting, would be the
So
swearing
that would
in.
be January 9th?
Correct.
So what's the status if terms end on the 1st of the 23rd and new people aren't sworn into the 9th? Are we without a city government for 8 days or what?
No, the terms of the existing council continue until the new council members are sworn in.
Okay. In that case, I'll move to approve item D.
Second.
Any discussion? Well, if that's the case, I don't wanna come January 3rd, so we should cancel
That's
it
what,
right
that's what I
now.
figured.
I'm banking on
Yeah.
one more meeting too, so, I'm just kidding. Any other discussion? Okay, to the motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion passes. Item E.
Item E is the TIF 1-4 permanent fund transfer, and it has to do with funding per staff for extra work for doing the TIF work. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so my question is, does that staff member get this money?
No.
Okay,
The staff members, any of these transfers relating to EDA, HRA, or TIF, it's just to cover, it goes into the budget to pay their existing salary. So they don't receive any benefits, bonuses, or extra pay for this.
so it goes to pay their existing salary, so if you didn't transfer it, they wouldn't have enough money to pay their.
Well,
I don't
it
understand
would
why
have
we're
to, it
doing
would, it would
this.
have to come from some, it would come from some other source. This is just a way of spreading these costs out to where they're directly incurred.
Okay, all right, well, that answers my question, thank you. With that, I'll make a motion to approve item E on the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made second. Discussion. Hearing none. To the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. That completes our consent agenda. There's no new business. On to department reports. Community development.
Thank you. I'm having problems with my computer. The screen's
Sure.
flashing off and on, so I'm just gonna turn it off. And Aaron will be able to display anything that we need on this. Item 7.A is final plat for the Elvidge EB Second Edition, Elvidge EB Holdings LLC. Elvidge EB Holdings requests that the final plat be approved for the Elvidge EB Second Edition, which is Attachment 1, Exhibit A in your packet. I gotta get rid of. As part of the conditions of the approval of preliminary plat, the developer is required to provide an additional ingress and egress at 241. I'm sorry, that should not be in this. The city engineer is in the process of reviewing the grading, drainage, and utility plans. All city engineer comments shall be satisfactorily met prior to any site grading. The city engineer will determine when comments have been met. Some of the comments include, but are not limited to, vehicle maintenance access roads. Trails should be contained in a trail easement, and easements for city utilities on private streets shall include a legal description and shall be recorded with Anoka County. Park dedication. On November 15th, 2022, the Parks Commission recommended the approval of a park dedication fee for the plat. The park dedication fee is 10% of the fair market value of the undeveloped land, not to exceed $2,000 per acre. Staff had indicated that there was a park dedication fee set, but there's been some discussion on that, and that will be discussed here in a moment. Staff requests that City Council approve the final plat with the conditions set forth in the attached resolution 2022-83, all conditions being met prior to the filing of the approved final plat with Anoka County. Resolution 2022-83 is included in your packet for this consideration.
Okay, is there a motion on this resolution?
Make a motion to approve resolution 2022-83, approving final plat of Elvidge EV Second Edition with the conditions set forth in the resolution.
Second.
Discussion.
I have a question. How long have we been using the $2,000 figure for parks?
Since 2007.
Because I honestly don't think it's enough. I think maybe future council might want to consider increasing that, but because I don't think you can do too much with,
No.
parks are expensive.
That's currently under discussion in the Parks
Yeah.
Commission.
Jack, can you explain why they did that in 2007, why they reduced the park dedication fee?
Well, actually, prior to 2007, the park's dedication fee for residential was $6,000 per unit. It was reduced to $2,000. And the commercial and industrial was $4,500, and it was reduced to a maximum not to exceed $2,000. The original thought on that was that these numbers would be needed to offset any increases in development fees that would be incurred because of the city SAC and WAC fees, which are much higher than any of our neighboring metro communities. And this would still enable us, hopefully, to have some competitiveness among them when it came to attracting development.
Yeah, I agree with Suzanne. You can't buy nothing for 36,000. You can't buy. So, you know, if it's a stepping process to go back up with this assessment or something, we gotta.
Yeah, and as Kevin noted, the Parks Commission is starting to look at this to see what we can do to modify this to make it reflect more to the current
To
conditions.
be competitive with the surrounding communities, yeah.
I think we're probably gonna discuss this particular matter a little further in the next item, right?
A little further in the next item, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor, but we
in the
can
agreement,
talk
so.
about it
We've
now.
had a lot of discussion over the last few days over this matter, so.
I have a question regarding the approving the final plat, Elvage EB, second edition for property legally described as Outlot A, Elvage EB, first edition. Whereas the East Bethel Review Committee reviewed the final plat, who is the East Bethel Review Committee?
The city council.
Oh, why don't they just call it the city council?
You don't wanna have two titles?
Okay,
It's a good question, though.
well, thanks.
Any other discussion? Okay, to the motion. All in
Can I
favor?
ask one other question?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Am I correct in understanding, because I've seen it in two different places, that the developer is financially responsible for the consulting fees, which includes engineering and what else? It's like planning and what's the other one?
Legal
Yeah,
fees as
legal.
well, yes, and that is articulated in the development agreement, which we're
And
considering
are
on the
those
next
being
item.
kept track of? They're the ones, internal costs specific to this project, not in general, but for both of our sakes.
We keep track of those development fees for each development project,
Okay.
and they're passed through, so to speak.
Okay, all right, thank
And
you.
there's the escrow set up, correct?
Correct.
So they work off an escrow.
Okay, when do we talk about this thing?
Next item.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it?
Yep.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. To the motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes.
Item 7.0A2, the Elvage PUD Phase 2 Agreement. At the December 5th, 2022 City Council Work Session, the Elvage PUD Phase 2 Agreement was discussed with the developer. Attachment 1 in your package was the final draft of that agreement. There have been some amendments to that since that time, which will be presented in the discussion. At this time, though, staff requests City Council accept the changes discussed at the December 5th, 2022 work session and any subsequent changes in the discussion that follows and approve the Elvage PUD Phase 2 agreement. This agreement will be filed with Anoka County at the same time as the final plat or as otherwise directed.
Okay, and we have a proposed addendum.
We do, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and council members, there's a proposed additional section to this agreement under Article 5. This would be Section 5.8, specifically addressing the park dedication fees that were talked about in the prior item. You see the draft language in front of you. This was the product of a good amount of discussion with Developers Council, City Administrator, and myself today. But the reason for this change is to more clearly track with our ordinance. We have a city ordinance that's specifically addressing park dedication fees. That's section 66-195F, and that lays out how the city is supposed to collect park dedication fees when there's a subdivision, and that states that if you're doing cash in lieu of dedicated land, which is what the developer is proposing to do here, to a degree, anyway, we'll get into that in a minute, but it's supposed to be 10% of the value of the property as determined by appraisal. So the language in front of you reflects that change, and there'll either be an appraisal or the city and the developer will agree to what the fair market value of that property is. 10% of that will become the park dedication fee to comply with our ordinance. In addition, though, the developer is dedicating land in this case in the form of the trails. And so whatever the market value is of the property, we'll calculate the 10% less the value of the trails, and that will be the total park dedication fee. So it's not going to be the $34,000 that you saw on the final plat. It'll be, you know, if you were going to say that the raw land value would be $900,000 for this property, then it would be $90,000 park dedication fees less the value of the trail easements that the developer is dedicating. So that's how this is going to be calculated, and we're going to continue discussions with the developer to determine the exact fair market value of that land from which the park dedication fee will be determined. So we don't have an exact number for you tonight, but we do have a formula to move forward, and that's what section 5.8 articulates.
And this new proposed language also includes the stipulation that the park dedication fees are paid before any site work starts.
That's correct.
Okay, so that, I would suggest for someone who makes the motion on this is to include this new section 5.8 in your motion.
Do you have an idea when we're going to know what the amount would be approximately?
Well, we want to know as soon as possible, and so does the developer. So, you know, if we have to go the appraisal route, those have been taking some amount of time lately. I've been typically waiting about 2 months to get an appraisal back. So that would be 2 to 3 months on the long end. But if we reach an agreement and can determine the fair market value of the property faster, we'll get it done as quickly as possible.
Why is the appraisal provided by the developer?
Why isn't it?
Why is it? Yeah, I'm just curious.
Because
Yeah, it's in our code.
It's,
Sorry, 600 odd pages, I'm not current on all of them.
Okay, do we have a motion on this PUD agreement?
not yet.
Do we need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Elbridge PUD Phase 2 agreement, including the addition 5.8 park dedication language as provided.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Motion made, second, discussion.
I actually do have a question. Are snowmobilers gonna be able to use that area along 65 still, or is that gonna be taken away from them? Cause
Well, I think the trails, that's between Sand Hill Parkway
and
and
65,
65.
so that's still good?
I don't know if the trail was on private land or not, I don't know.
there was no snowmobile activity or trail on there prior to the road. The way that road is, it's built up with fill. It's not conducive to snowmobile traffic anyway because you go past the curb and you've got steeper banks. If it was, it would have to be restricted to anything within the city right of way, and it couldn't be on private property.
Just because I see snowmobilers there every winter, so that, I don't know what the rules are or anything like that. I just know I see them there, so I thought it was a trail, but maybe it's not.
I thought their groomed trail went east-west on Viking, but maybe it does go up 65 too, but they would, if it was on private property, they would have had agreements.
Yeah, it does, and if you notice, there's two little bridges that
Yeah,
cross Crooked
right.
Brook at the intersection of 22 and 65, and that's to facilitate that traffic on Viking Boulevard,
Yeah.
snowmobile traffic.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none to the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes.
Item 7.3, Elevage Master PUD Agreement Amendment. As part of the approval of the final plat for Elevage EB Second Edition, the Elevage Master PUD Agreement Amendment needs to reflect the changes in the Master PUD plan. Attachment 1, Exhibit A in your packet depicts this updated plan. Staff requests that City Council review and approve the Elevage Master PUD Agreement Amendment. The agreement shall be filed with Anoka County at the same time as the final plat.
Okay, and Jack, this is the one you sent up a follow-up email to?
Yeah, you want to bring that one up, Aaron? This is the one that we sent to you here last week, I believe.
And so this
The-
is Exhibit B? No, Exhibit 1.
7A3, here's what it is. Page 164 is the one.
There you go. So Exhibit B, okay. All right, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the Elbridge Master PUD Agreement Amendment.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made second, discussion.
Will this 5.8 park dedication be reflected or be included in any way in this?
It should not be, every single stage of this development is gonna have its
Its own.
own agreement, and the
Okay.
park dedication will be dealt with
Yeah.
on each one.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
Just one question, who or what is OMS? Says the city and developer and OMS wish to amend.
I'll fix it.
Okay. Say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes. Elevage is over next step, right? So,
Thank you, Mayor. It's been fun, but this is probably the last time you'll see me. If I could for 1 second. I just wanted to say, thank you. I know there's been some points of debate, but you guys have done a great job of listening. Your staff has been fantastic. We've worked through issues. So I just wanted to, you don't often hear thank yous, but I just wanted to say, thank you. This has been a great experience to work through and get this solved. So thank you all for your time.
well, thanks for saying so.
Thank
Say,
you.
Mike, do you know when Corey's gonna break ground? Is he gonna try and start anything this year, or is he gonna wait till spring?
I don't know for sure. I
Okay.
think this year is pretty close because there's not a lot of time.
Fine, okay.
2.5
I
weeks,
think it would start probably Q1 of
Okay.
2023.
I know he wanted to get
depending on-
back there and
Yeah, so we've
get
got
some
to
equipment back in there, I suppose, before the road restrictions go on. And
Yeah, so I think we'll probably get February or early March, we'll start to get some equipment out there, so it's
Okay.
out.
Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you. All right, on to fire department.
Thank you, Steve. East Bethel Fire Department currently employs 2 full-time staff members, the fire chief and the fire inspector. While reviewing current policies and procedures, it was noted there is no provisions in regard to pay, overtime pay, and call percentage for these positions. Both of these full-time staff members receive their retirement benefits through the police and fire para program and are not eligible to accrue retirement benefits through the East Bethel Fire Department Relief Association after their date as full-time employees. As such, the call percentage requirements are not applicable to these employees. Despite the absence of percentage requirements, these employees are still fully qualified to respond to calls after normal work hours. Due to the rise in call volumes as well as recruitment and retention struggles, it is encouraged that they respond as they are available. Per city policy, any hours worked over 40 in a week is considered overtime. The fire chief is exempt from this overtime requirement due to the nature of his role in the department and the need to flex his duties from time to time. These topics should be clarified and included in the department policies and procedures set to a standard to prevent confusion between the paid on-call and full-time staff. This will also aid in job description and requirements for full-time staff in the future. City Council is requested to consider an update to the current policies and procedures to differentiate call response requirements and compensation between full and paid on-call staff. Upon Council's review of the proposal in your packet, staff recommends Council approve the proposed changes to the fire department policies and procedures and include the new languages in section 4.1 and 5.2 as included in attachment 1.
Is there a motion on this matter?
Make a motion for approval of the changes in the fire department's policies, section 4.1, 5.2, as provided in attachment 1.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made second, discussion.
Is this gonna increase the cost, overall cost that we, in our budget for the fire department? And do we have a figure for that?
We don't have a figure because we don't know. It could, but now the current fire inspector is required to be paid overtime for anything after 40. So there will be some additional overtime pay, and it's only going to be determined by the number of calls that he responds to. Currently, he responds to maybe 5 or 6 of these evening calls a month. So whatever that is times his pay times time and a half, but this is budgeted for in the fire department budget.
It is budgeted
Yes.
for.
Well, we have an overtime budget. It's a projection of what the costs are. Sometimes it's over, sometimes it's under. It just depends on the number of calls we receive that they respond to.
Would you be agreeable to having it reviewed after a quarter of having this policy change and see if, just so we have an update, how did it play out?
Yeah,
in
we
real life?
we can definitely give an update, but you know, essentially by fair labor standards, we're required to on the fire inspector, but not the fire chief.
Because really what we need, what we want is more paid firemen, fire person.
Yeah,
excuse
what we
me.
want to do too is, and this increases our ability too to have extra response. So we can give you a quarterly report after this is implemented to see where
It'd
we
be
are.
nice to know how it's going. you know.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, especially if the person's being worked to death, you know.
Well, and the immediate challenge is gonna be the disappearance of Artie,
Yeah,
around
Yeah.
here, so
that's a big loss.
80% of the calls he's on, so. Okay, any further discussion? To the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. On to item G1.
With Stephanie Hanson's resignation, city staff is proposing that council consider appointing city planner Aaron Berg to the interim position of the community development director. Aaron will be assuming many of these duties until this position is filled. Staff is also recommending that he be paid an additional $1,000 a month to compensate for the extra time and responsibilities he will have in this capacity. Funds originally budgeted for Stephanie's salary would more than cover this cost. The interim appointment would terminate upon the hire of the community development director. Aaron has a varied background in municipal affairs that include chairperson of the City of Cambridge Planning Commission for the past 3 years, past member of the Isani County School Board. He's a newly elected member of the Cambridge City Council and has been an intern and city planner with the city since June of this year. Aaron's municipal government experience distinctively qualifies him to serve in this role. Applications for this position close on December 30th, 2022, and assuming we have qualified applicants to consider, We anticipate a hiring recommendation for council to be no sooner than February 13th, 2023. To date, we have only 2 applicants for the opening. This appointment would also enable us to continue to have a single point of contact for all the activities of the Community Development Department, eliminating any confusion of whom to contact for planning, zoning, code enforcement, land use permit, development projects, and general building department matters. Council is requested to approve the appointment of Aaron Berg as the interim Community Development Director until such time as that position is filled.
Make a motion to approve the appointment of Aaron Berg as the interim Community Development Director until such time as the position is filled.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Motion made in second, discussion.
Well, I have to say, I think everybody in the city should be kind of cross-trained to do each other's jobs. And I think I'm under the understanding that everybody's job description has other duties as assigned, and I don't think we should be paying somebody an extra $1,000 a month for this. So that's my feedback.
I think why this is important to do is we're gonna go for a period of 2 months without having a community development director. At a time where we're obviously seeing more and more development inquiries and pressures and whatnot. And to me, I mean, I wish Julie was still there. I mean, it's or the developers, it's important to the developer when they come in to have a single point of contact. So the next time they come in, they're not dealing with another person. The next time they call, they're not dealing with another person. And those people don't know what the story is. The approximately $2,000 that we're gonna spend to make this interim position, I think is well worth that investment to make sure that we're showing that we're still focused and on the ball in terms of community development. And keep in mind, there's also another 2-3 months of salary that was there that we're not gonna have. And you're asking people to do more than what their job is without compensating them, and that is never fair. So. Any other discussion?
Did we do it, pay anybody $1,000 a month when Colleen left?
No, but I took over essentially those duties in the interim. We filled that position fairly quickly, but we didn't have anybody on staff like Aaron that could jump up and assume those job duties. Aaron has the background and is qualified to do so. He will be assuming many new responsibilities, and we'll have a lot of extra work to do. So I think this is a good solution for the interim, and again, hopefully it'll be 2 months and we can have somebody in the position, but we need to have this position filled. It's very critical. I agree with Steve. It's something we need to have this point of contact established, and there's going to be other things that we need to have his attention solely focused on other than his other job duties.
Okay.
This is not the first time the city has done this either. Now, the last time they did it, we appointed Manny Saki as the interim building official when Larry Martin left. So there is precedence for this.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, to the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion passes. On the staff report,
I have nothing else to add.
council reports, Tim.
I've got a couple of things. The fire department today, they had maintenance on their equipment, and this past Saturday, I want to thank the fire department. I want to thank all the residents for coming out on a gloomy night, a little snow and a little sleet. The fire department turned in 1,100 pounds of food today, and they turned in $750 in cash. And I just want to say thanks to all the residents that were out in the elements, and thanks to the firefighters that volunteered to drive the truck around. Thank you. And everybody have a Merry Christmas and a safe Christmas.
Okay, Suzanne.
I too want to thank the residents for doing that. I was very sick, so I didn't really participate, but I watched it on social media, what I could. And I want to thank all the residents who gave me all that support and the kind words. And I want to wish everybody a Merry, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you before the new year.
Kevin,
What,
council report.
council report?
Do you have anything to report?
No.
Okay. Brian?
There's no meetings that I had since the last council meeting. And, the December EDA meeting will be canceled. So with that, just wanna say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody here and all of our residents.
And I want to echo what Tim said about the Santa Parade. It was, I was able to participate, so it was kind of interesting to see. And yeah, it was kind of a gloomy night, but it was still fun. And they'll be doing that next year as well. And with that, wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a very safe holiday. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Our meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.